Happy Saturday, January 20th, 2018. Yesterday was the staff ordering date for the Sonic and the Drive, so I got those on the way. It's basically just the day that we can start ordering the new releases, and then we all get them within about a week or so. The balls are actually what I'm going to talk about this week. We're going to do some actual bowling equipment talk today, not some philosophical rambling. So there should be some very interesting and relevant stuff if you're interested in getting these. It's coming into tournament season. High school season just started for a lot of kids. State tournaments, other stuff like nationals, Greater Ozark, stuff like that. So this is a popular time for equipment anyway. Now, before we get too much further, I've got some new apparel here that I'm going to be showing off in the next several videos. So if you're interested in any of the new stuff that they have on the website, I'll also have whatever I'm wearing linked down in the description below so that you can go check that out. Also, feel free to check everything else out, of course. Some good stuff that they got now. So moving on here. First, I'm going to do the success stories like I promised I would last week. So I asked everybody to put comments down in under the video, under the podcast I did for last week, and then I include give you a shout out here or whatever, because I really do appreciate everybody that watches my videos, likes my stuff, comments, people I talk to on a regular basis. So if you've had any kind of success, if you just had success, period, I want to share what you've done. So Mike AB07 got a code red for Christmas after numerous hints to the wife. And he shot 720 out of the box, followed it up with a 733. I'll take that I'll take either of those any nights of the week, really. Isaac Olson is 16, just started bowling last year, but he says he loves it so much he's bowled almost every single day since he started. He already has a 300 and high series 759. That's some pretty crazy progress, so keep that up. Kevin Webster has a fun story. He and his son Travis bowled together. They both shot 300, same game, same league, same team, everything. Not to mention they both finished with a 771. So he used the code black. Travis was using a code red, and that's got to be some crazy kind of pressure on for the 12th ball and whoever finished last. I had a night in a points league where everyone bowls the person across from the guy bowled. We both had the front 11 the same game, and we were finishing the game at the same time, so it was going back and forth. So that was kind of fun. He shot 300 and I wrapped a 10, but I can't remember seeing two people shoot 300 even on the same pair before, let alone the same team, let alone father and son. So I mean, that's a pretty cool story. Douglas Wabama shot his first 299 with high road that I recommended to him. Finished that set with a 753. He's had more 700s this year than the previous three combined. Chris Simpson recently drilled up a pitch black due to odd conditions at his home center. He shot 278, 699, and anyone that scores with urethane naturally impresses me. So those are the stories for this week. Leave comments below to make it into next week's podcast. Now, I have had several more people put stuff on previous videos, but trying to go back and dig through the last 100 or so videos that I've got and all the hundreds and hundreds of comments that I've had, it's proving to be a little challenging. So, all right, let's do some ball talk. You might want to grab a beer or something. This gets pretty thick. I just kind of started typing, and this is what I ended up with. So this is most of the time I take my internal mental chatterings and try to make them understandable. And here I just kind of typed. So it should be fun. Now, Jason Belmonte, we're going to start with the drive. Jason Belmonte did a live feed from Australia on Facebook to kind of announce and show off the drive about a week and a half ago. Looked very good for him. Of course, everything looks good for him, but due to the live feed thing, it was hard to see anything about the ball rather than, aside from just the obvious stuff, it goes down the lane and then it hooks and the pins fall down. Now, High SP in Japan put out a couple videos about a week ago for this drive and the Sonic. I have those linked in the description down here below the video. So if you want to pause here and go watch those first, you'll kind of be caught up with what I'm going to be talking about. But I've watched them several times. I'm going to break them all down. So if me talking about them is good enough for you, then we can just keep going for now. Now, first of all, the first tester that they use in all the video, in these two videos, Shogo Yamashita, he has one of the best physical games I've ever seen, period. So I mean, sometimes it's hard to get a good read on what balls do. When someone who throws it that good is throwing it, I mean, they make everything look good. He could go out and grab a rock from the parking lot and probably strike with it. So And Belmo makes everything look really good too, so I haven't, from those two guys, it's kind of hard to tell because everything looks good. But another thing to point out in the videos from the Japanese videos is that they're bowling on wood lanes. For those of you who may have only bowled on synthetic lanes before, wood is a lot softer than synthetics, so there's more friction created between the ball and the lane, which usually means a lot sharper and quicker reaction on the drive. Now, both the drive and Sonic go absolutely sideways for Shogo. And while I don't doubt that they're both fairly angular, I wouldn't expect to see that sharp or that severe of a motion on synthetic lanes, which most of us bowl on. But next we have Akio Ishihara. I'm a huge fan. He's in all the reviews they do over there. I just love the simplicity of his game. He has a very smart game. I just love watching him bowl. I mean, that's the biggest. I even watch all the videos they have for the overseas releases, partially because I'm interested, but I just like watching him bowl. So. He always has that trademark tape from his pin to axis lines, so you have a good visual representation of how much the ball's flaring. Sometimes on the more colorful balls, they can be kind of hard to read. I mean, you'd think all the visual cues would make it easier, but most of the time it just ends up being distracting with all the colors going all over the place. Now with Akio, I can usually get a great read on what the ball does. There's no frills. He just lays it down nice and easy, lets the ball do the work. For me, the math all adds up on the drive. The timeless is very easy down the lane and quick off the spot, sometimes too quick, so it had a tendency to stand up on me occasionally because there didn't seem to be too much of a hook phase. The skid phase pretty well went straight into the roll phase, which can make the ball jerk and burn up too much energy turning when the hook phase should have already happened and had the ball ready to roll on the back end. However, like I said in my drive preview, being that it was designed for higher rev players paired with the higher differential in the dual drive core, they kind of create their own hook phase. They don't need a ball revving and chugging and going nuts doing it for them. The higher rev games just don't require as much out of a ball, so I always found the timeless to be a really good look for higher rev players, but I mean, duh, that's who it was designed for, so hashtag bowling math. I also found it to be a really good look for lower rev players as well. My wife has a lower rev rate and medium-ish speed, so it works well for her too. It gives the ball time to slow down and kind of have more of a proper hook phase. So, based on the math on the drive though, if somebody told me that they were blending the nano cover with R2S on the dual drive core, I'd expect earlier and smoother. I mean, now here's a little English lesson too. Strong and sharp are two different things. The drive still really moves on the back end. I wouldn't call it sharp though. You can have both strong and sharp at the same time, which I would call the fused strong and sharp at the same time, but they don't necessarily go together the majority of the time. Now while the timeless isn't super sharp, but it still looks quite a bit sharper to my eyes than the drive does. Not to mention the drive comes at 3000 Abralon, but even if you were to polish the drive, I'd still expect earlier and smoother. Now, like I said in my preview video, that should add up to more versatile, more user-friendly for the more average rev rate. Now, what does that do for the higher rev bowler, though, being that they're collaborating with Belmo again, and that's kind of the whole point of this thing? Well, it brings the reaction closer to you. That helps make it more controllable and more consistent. And more importantly, perhaps, it blends the wet-dry better. That's the flagship characteristic of the nano cover to me, is blending wet-dry without burning energy, which basically keeps the ball from burning up making the turn. So you have a ball in the timeless that's more conditioner bowler specific, a ball that was either loved or hated, mostly due to the marketing thing that gave most of the people the impression it was like the High Road Evolved or something like that, and everybody needed one, which it wasn't and they didn't, instead of taking a more technical or practical approach. So what do you do to give a ball like the timeless more versatility? You take the most outstanding reaction qualities and you go the opposite direction to try to pull everything back towards the middle of that kind of reaction spectrum. Now the timeless is pretty long and strong, so to make it earlier and smoother, bring everything back towards the middle. Like I said, bam, you have the drive. Now at the same time, there's another Belmo ball, so the point in the first place, like I said, is to give higher rev players more control or more favorable reaction in a resin vehicle. So how do you get earlier and smoother without significantly stronger? Because smoother is good for high rev rates, stronger not necessarily so nano cover. Now, you might say nano cover is pretty strong and a lot stronger than R2S, and you'd be right. but it's also really, really smooth. And so if you blend it with R2S, all of a sudden you have a ball that is earlier, you have a ball that's smoother, more controllable, not a ton stronger on the same core, and you end up with a ball that's both more versatile for the average bowler, which makes up the majority of the consumer base, or you and I who are actually going to be, going out and buying and using this ball for a long time, but which also still serves the original design purpose of helping out the higher rev rates. Now, as I said 100 times before, I hate bowling math, but when it's this smart and it makes this much sense, I really enjoy it. I mean, most bowling math is just trying to quantify something that can't be quantified, or trying to make a hard and fast formula out of something that has a million variables. I mean, hopefully in this case, people won't hold the whole timeless debacle against the drive. I would imagine that there was some intent there behind not having timeless in the name at all, that despite the fact that timeless SE and overseas ball, I really like that one. I really want that one. But where the timeless had a very specific purpose in mind, the drive has a similar purpose, but one that should manage to check a few more boxes in the process. And as I've also said, it's important to have balls like the timeless, because while the drive may be more user-friendly, it's not going to have that same look that the timeless has, which can be very unique or extremely useful given the right circumstances. A hammer is really good at driving in nails, but it's not a bad tool because it can't screw in a screw. It's a great tool provided that you use it in the way or for the purpose it was designed for. I've had all kinds of people come in before and say if they need a ball for dry lanes or wet lanes or for a certain purpose, that we drill it for that, and then they're mad when they can't use it on a fresh lead condition. I mean, hashtag just shoot me. But the timeless is great at what it was designed to do, but I just believe it was failed by the marketing approach. So now moving on to the Sonic, it's an IQ that isn't an IQ. I mean, R2S Pearl, you can't go wrong with that. It's great on the high road pearls, great on the Code Black and all the other 87 balls that they've used it on. But now with this new Centripetal HD core, it should give us kind of a look right between those two that I just mentioned, which is, I mean, that at the heart of it, that's what you imagine kind of an IQ-ish type reaction to be. Balance and control is kind of what the IQ series has been built on. Now, by producing a super low RG core by increasing the density, it's going to have that strong roll the series is known for. Now, for a long time, I've thought that the core kind of needed an update, specifically the differential. The IQ Tour Solid's been out for about 5.5 years now. In that time, oils have gotten thicker, volumes have gotten heavier, and while the low differential is great for control, the traction necessary to create that has kind of gotten a bit lost. It rolls really heavy for as much as it doesn't really hook anymore, and for it's began to create some angle issues. It rolls too heavy to play straight with, and it doesn't finish strong enough from deeper angles, so it's been kind of pushed further and further and further into more of a supporting role rather than being the first ball that comes out of the bag. It's the ball that comes out when nothing else works, because you're not going to miss the pocket with it. It just becomes a matter of carry after that. Now, some people are still very successful with it, mainly the super high rev rates, but my relationship with it's become rather famous, and it's not because it's a bad ball at all. It's absolutely not. But this ball is the absolute king of getting 9. I mean, you want to know how many times I've shot 237 going double 9 spare, double 9 spare, double 9 spare, most of the time being 10 pins. Now, you'd think that averaging 237 doesn't sound like that bad of a deal, but when you throw in the occasional low 200 game, when you get a double and then you have the rest of the game 9 spares, that's when the magic starts waning a little bit. I've always thought, man, if we could just jump the differential of this core a little bit more, give it a little bit more flair, which is going to give it a little bit more traction. I thought that would just be perfect. Then the trick came out at 041 and a similar RG. I thought, sweet, here's the answer to my prayers. But the cover is quite a bit stronger. It feels quite a bit stronger than R2S. So, I mean, cool. It's the IQ evolved, but maybe a little bit past where I was hoping for. Then we get the announcement for the Sonic, and despite my love-hate with the IQ, my love-hate relationship with the IQ Tour, I never owned the Gold Pearl, I never had a Fusion, I never had a 30, and I did have a couple Nanos. I really like those. Nano cover stock, of course, though. Then, Nature Boy Chad sends the IQ Tour Rising overseas, And after that, we have the Sonic, and now I'm finally at peace. So, yet another case of bowling math actually working out. There's zero doubt in my mind that the Sonic is going to be the answer for me. There's just no way that it can't. I mean, it's virtually a more angular marble pearl, and I don't know how it's possible for that to suck or be anything less than completely epic. So, now when you're a staffer, again, your excitement for new releases gets tempered a little bit. It's always cool. It's always a ton of fun, but you get used to going through quite a few balls pretty quickly, and so you never really get a chance to get attached to many of them. I'm already attached to this one, though. It's going to be another week before I even get holes in it. So if I have a problem, personally, if I have a problem, it's getting the ball to rev. I get at it so clean the majority of the time that I have to try to be slow. I have to try to roll it, especially on a house shot, because my rev rate forces me inside to the soup, but my rev rate forces me inside to the soup. And most of the times, with as wet dry as house shots are now, you can go from 2-8-10 to big 4 with just a small move. So if I can get something that's just absolutely rolling and revving and chugging like a tank, which this ball should, 247 RG is in the basement, this should be something that you higher speed guys are going to like. It should completely redefine the term control the mid lane. Now, after all that jabbering, this is just me fanboying getting excited. I'm not trying to talk you into bowling balls. That's not what I do. I provide information and recommendations for those in the market to buy. I do not and will never talk anyone into getting a ball or tell you that you need it, unless, of course, you say, well, I like this type of ball, and so whenever this comes out, let me know. I'll say, okay, well, this is that type of ball. You need to go get it then. Now, if you can't afford one of them or either of them, don't run out and buy them. I mean, they should be around for a while. I'm not on commission. I don't get paid to do this. Even if I did, I'd never push you into something you may not like, because it does me no good, it does you no good, does the company no good. It's just a loss right across the board. So I also still do not own either of these balls yet, so I'm just going off what I've seen so far. None of this is gospel at all, but I like to think I'm pretty good at this, and I'm expecting some great things from both of these. So if you're in the market for a ball, if you need to replace something, if you just want to buy something new and shiny, or, you know, the drive is not shiny, but if you want to buy something new and dull, cool. Make sure that you're subscribed here so that you get the notifications when my reviews go up. They will go up sometime next weekend, barring any kind of catastrophe. But we've had a really good couple months worth of releases here recently. I might have to start taking 3 bags to league, because I have no earthly idea what I'm going to be able to justify leaving at home for nothing. And if nothing else, big announcement here. I'm drilling a fresh new IQ Tour Solid specifically for the Sonic video. Specifically to be able to compare to the Sonic. I think this will actually be my 4th or 5th one, I think. I might even make a redemption video for it. Give it a chance to, you know, one last chance here. So, if nothing else, I should have quite a few entertaining videos. Even if you don't want to buy any of them, can't buy any of them, I should still have some entertaining videos coming out next week. Trust me, you won't want to miss the Sonic opinion video. I've been working on that script and idea for 2 solid months now. And it is a new twist on my opinion formula. Now, if the ball sucks, that would completely screw everything up. But I mean, this is kind of like wrapping a meatloaf in bacon and smoking it. Like, come on. That'll wrap it up for this week. Be on the lookout for the drive and the Sonic reviews next weekend, Sunday at the latest. I'll see you next Saturday if nothing else. And also, I don't know, maybe later again today or tomorrow. I mean, who knows.